All right. So again, Eedris Abdulkareem said, until BBC releases a documentary of the atrocities committed by Britain on African soil, only then will they have the moral justification to condemn an African man. Shall we dissect this? Let's dissect this, okay? I'm seeing that the freeze comment here said the BBC should do this, okay? Somebody else says, when you people talk about slave trade and colonialism, you often leave out the part Africans themselves played in it. Lo baton, hey way. Let's. You won't talk about how your chiefs and Oba sold their tribesmen for mirrors and umbrellas and bottles. Not even books. You know, when you have a generation of people that have a tendency to disconnect from self-accountability, it's a struggle. They will always be under. What do you want me to tell you? Like, that's just the truth. Either we're talking about societal level, macro level, or micro level as an individual. If you have a hard time with self-accountability, you always be under. Okay? The person continues, you won't talk about how your chief, okay, you won't talk about the greed of the African man. It's the African man that produces nothing, exports nothing outside of, obviously, how to do faith and religion in a fancy way, but expect to pray, and expect to build a country that will thrive. It's the African man that does that. There's no other persons, no other group of people that do that in the planet. Okay? They import everything, but they expect prosperity. Not only are they expecting it, this is a mindset. This is not a matter of TB Joshua. It is a mindset. TB Joshua, don't rest. We're talking about you now. This is a mindset. Anyway, this person is hitting it, right? It was our greed they took advantage of. Nobody is coming into your doors unless there's a crack in the wall. Nobody is coming into your marriage unless there's a crack in the wall. If you have active division at any level going on in your relationship, the devil will come inside. It's just the way it works. And guess who you're going to blame? You'll blame somebody else, right? You won't be able to. Most of the time, you can't hold yourself accountable. You just can't, because all you can see is how you've been the victim all along. That's all you can see. It's the same mindset at every level. Individual, overall, macro level is the same thing. This mindset, you can't rise from it. It's just this active competitive place. Okay? It is impossible. Now, does that mean they shouldn't be held accountable? No, I'm just saying you're going to have a hard time holding them accountable if you don't have the ability to hold yourself accountable. It's probably impossible. That's all I'm saying. Okay? The person says it was our greed they took advantage of. It wouldn't have been possible for them to do everything they did if our traditional leaders did not allow it for personal gains. All right. Now, what I really wanted to address here before I go into it, even let me come to the chat because that's getting heated up for a second there. Let me come to the chat. Not to say I don't agree with this statement. I don't agree with the statement either. This statement is discombobulated on arrival. Again, when you move from a place of emotions, it's hard to engage emotional intelligence because you are moving from a place of emotions, right? So this is not the time for power to the people. Atrocity is atrocity, but the one British committed on Africa and the one committing on ourselves by ourselves, even in the name of I must get those white people. Even that, it is so-called atrocities. You're right, Chi. Absolutely. More fresh, good evening to you. Welcome. Yeah. Gunpowder. Listen, these are the people. They are making the most noise, but in terms of structures, you know. So we're always on one extreme of the other. Somebody is completely stealing and trying to build, and somebody is not stealing anything, but they're just making noise with no emotional intelligence attached to it. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be very hard. Yep. Greed is a real thing. This is the shit killing Nigeria. Yep. My man and I were talking about this just yesterday regarding this our African Christianity. It is very, very, very. It's a serious point of conversation that we have to keep having because it's affecting us at every level. Okay, it's affecting. If it's not affecting you directly, it's affecting the way you influence your kids. That's to our parents. It's affecting the way you influence your kids. You might have been lucky, you're coming from a different era, and your child is trying to figure out a new world, but you keep planting all these seeds of victimhood in their head. Yeah. This is the same like saying don't talk about corruption until you address where it started from. Exactly. That damn greed continues till today. The Chinese are buying up so much land, mining illegally by paying off our leaders, while they don't even allow us black people or foreigners to buy any property. These are the things we're dealing with. Okay. Now, in terms of hold on. God will not use his legs to come and do things for us when we already provided us. Like he has 8 billion people floating around here. Like it's done what he needs to do. It's like the parable of the talent, right? Some people are going to complain that they only have one talent. The other person that has 5 talents is looking for a way to multiply it. You do the math. You figure out which part of that do you belong in that parable. Okay. Let me do this. Okay. In terms of the statement itself, until BBC releases a documentary on the atrocities committed by Britain on African soil, I'm going to take a wild guess that the Onyibo people have done a lot of documentaries on that, and including the greed of the African people in that same respect, right? Including the greed of the Onyibo people not knowing that, hey, you can't keep doing this. These people are going to fight back at some point, right? All of the above. I'm going to take a wild guess that more Onyibo people have done more documentaries about this matter than black people. Do you agree? It's just a guess, okay? I actually don't know. But that's just a wild guess that Onyibo people have done probably more documentaries about their own atrocities than we have done, okay? Or they've sponsored it. Or they've kind of changed the narrative to control us even more. Anyhow, way, shape, form you want to think about it, they probably told more story about this than we have, right? Okay. What do you want to blame that on? Okay. And only then will they have the moral justification. Again, morals. When people get caught up in their emotions, one of the first places they run to is moral standards. Poison. Moral standards. The obsession with morals is a poison. You don't understand power. You're not going to get power. No one's going to hand you power. You're going to have to take it. That's the way it works. How? Why? Why would they give you power? Just think about it. Why would they give you power? It doesn't make any sense. They're not going to give you power. You have to take it. How, Sway? How? That's what we're trying to get to.
How, Sway?
That's what we're trying to get to. But that you need to first of all acknowledge that no one is going to give you power. They will continue to take power from you. That's just the way it works. Number 3, moralizers. They have no power. They can't get anywhere ahead. There's a certain extent where you can be activist too, right? You can be an activist to a certain extent. But there's only so much power that comes with that because they actually have to give you. And when they hand you and they grant you or they dash you power, it is fake. Could it last? It's just like dashing a person's submission, or dashing your husband submission that he has not earned, or dashing your partner the trust they have not earned, right? It's not going to work. Oh, it might work for short term, but it's not going to work. Hey, babe. It's not going to work. That's some of the things you got to pay attention to. My wild guess is correct. You think? Maybe. Right? But so this statement is basically dead on arrival, you know. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. Condemnation, to condemn. There's nothing about the documentary that condemned anybody. A story was being told, not a story. Multiple stories that aligned in the same direction were being told. You don't have to agree with the story. You don't have to say it's true. You can say your own experience is different, right? All of you can gather yourself too. Maybe it's not as sensational, but they gather yourself and say, we had a positive experience. We had a positive experience with TB Joshua. We will listen to, okay? In fact, I'm actually going to demonstrate that right now, okay? We will listen. If you have a positive experience, we want to listen. We want to hear it, okay? So, yeah, let's talk about it right now. I'll be right back.
Ooh, girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One loving up, we done enough.